Good afternoon. My name is Erin Compton, and I'm a second-year T&I Spanish student here, and I spent my summer in Córdoba, Argentina. Now, I guess I'll just begin by telling you how I began my search process. I sat down and I mapped out my main goals for the internship. I knew that I wanted to find something that would give me hands-on technical training and exposure to real-world translation and or interpretation. I didn't limit myself by field because I'm actually interested in several fields. So I looked at the medical interpreting opportunities, international organizations, private sector, and so forth. Then my second goal was to continue improving my B language, which I think is a common goal for all of us. It's really a lifelong project. But I thought if I could find an internship in a context that was largely or completely Spanish speaking, then I would have landed my dream internship, so to speak. Lastly, I believe that internships should offer some sort of compensation for the intern, whether it be monetary, support for housing, support for transportation, for example. It's not really an opportunity for an employer to get free work. So for me, that meant looking at only the paid internships or internships that were in the Washington, D.C. area, because I'm lucky enough to have my family in that part of the country. So with these three overarching goals in mind, I sat down at the Career and Academic Services Center and looked through all of the internships with organizations with whom MIIS had already established a relationship. And I did that because I thought it would give me a certain degree of certainty in the quality of the internship. It also allowed me to get in touch with the second-year students who had actually done those internships the year prior and really get the insider's view on their experience and to really learn about the benefits from their perspective. So then the time came to apply, which was in about January, February, and even March for some, and I narrowed my list down to 3 internships. I applied to the Stanford Healthcare Medical Interpreting Internship, which I'm sure a lot of you will hear about, and that's located nearby in Palo Alto. I've always been interested in medicine, and I was already enjoying the volunteer interpreting that the first year T&I Spanish students were doing with Rhoda Care Clinic, which is located next door in Seaside, and a lot of you first year T&I Spanish students will get the chance to join us there next semester. Secondly, I looked at the Organization of American States in Washington, D.C. They offered a blend of T&I exposure. I won't speak much more about that because my colleague Alex will tell you all about her experience there. And then lastly, GSTILE translations in Córdoba, Argentina. And I knew that that one would be purely focused on private sector work and translation only in a small company that had in-house translators, editors, and project managers. This also was a 100% immersion experience in one of the most culturally, geographically, and historically fascinating countries in South America. So how did I narrow it down? Well, it was pretty easy. GSTILE translation spoke to all 3 of my major goals, but there was an added factor that really helped tip the scales in favor of Del Sur for me, and that was the opportunity that we had to meet both the co-founders of the organization. Their names are Angelica Perez and Virginia Minondo, and the 2 were lucky for us in the Monterey area last year. And with the help of Martina Kinkel, who was the actual first intern that they'd ever hosted from MIIS, and our then advisor, Jeff Wood, they organized this information session on campus. And I really got a solid impression that these 2 women were very organized. They were driven to deliver only the highest quality products to their clients. They were personable, but moreover, they really seemed to be genuinely interested in making the internship the most beneficial it could possibly be for the intern. They seemed to really care about what the intern would take away from their program. So I put together my cover letter to introduce myself, added a CV, and sent a few sample translations with my application. And now, after having spent the summer there, I'm very glad to be able to stand before you today and say that what was initially just my impression turned into the reality over the summer, and I'm very, very satisfied with my internship experience. I left Del Sur with concrete knowledge of how a translation agency functions and how all the moving parts come together to produce quality material. I got a lot of hands-on experience, but also instruction with the CAT tools that are relevant for my language combination. And I obviously was able to improve my B-language fluency and knowledge, which for me was quite important. And as a bonus, I actually came away with a new client for whom I can work upon graduation, not to mention a few people that I now consider my friends. So now you may be feeling a lot of pressure and anxious to get started on your search right now, and it's completely understandable. I mean, we all want to land that dream internship to have the best possible chances upon graduation. But I think if you're in the T&I and CI programs, you've already realized how incredibly demanding they are. And so I, at the time, heeded the advice of Jeff, our advisor, as well as the teachers who had urged us to stay focused on our classes, stay focused on our practice groups and our studies through to the end of the year. And then I began my search in the new year. So for you, this may mean starting during the J term or even as late as the first week back for the second semester. To wrap up, I'd like to just share with you my 2 cents on how you can maximize your internship experience. So first and foremost, I would say while you are there, make yourself as available and engaged as possible whenever you can. So this means even maybe during your downtime, perhaps in your extra time, to make yourself available. This will give you the potential to acquire unexpected new skills, and at the very least, it'll look good to your employer, and it'll be a win-win situation for all. Secondly, if your goal is to improve your B or your C language, and you manage to get an internship that will facilitate that goal, I would highly recommend that you seek out housing with local graduate students or local young professionals who either have little to no knowledge of your A language, or at least who aren't inclined to practice it with you. This is key because it's very easy to get into a pattern speaking your native language, and then you will undermine your efforts to learn your B, or improve your B. And lastly, don't be afraid to speak up when you don't understand something or ask for further clarification. This is your opportunity to ask all of those questions in a safe and very supportive environment. I mean, this is the experience I had. I was surrounded by professionals who were working in a field that I aspired to work in, and they were very supportive and helped guide me through all of my doubts. And this is something I think is really important. And it's not to say that you should stop asking questions once you've graduated, but rather to say that the sooner you're equipped with the right knowledge and the right skills, the better a professional you will be upon graduation. Thank you very much.